But
Right.
what I'm saying is never give up on your dreams if you
Mm-hmm.
want to achieve something. And the goal setting process is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that when I had my school, again, was reinventing the shifting, going from
Yes. Yes.
being on stage and on camera to become a business owner and help new talent get their start in the entertainment industry. But there's one thing that I noticed. Why do some succeed and some don't? They're equally talented. And what I realized was their mindset, their
Mm-hmm.
attitude, how they
Mm-hmm.
pursue the business. And so I thought, well, I have to do something. So I started writing a workbook, and that then turned into a book, Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz.
Okay, papaya! Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of Transform Your Future with me, Eddie Eisen, where I sit down with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and high achievers as they identify areas I can improve on and guide me to further my self-improvement practice. For more information and insights, join the newsletter at transformyourfuture.com, where I write about my reinvention journey and my identity and my relationship with technology. Today's guest is Sabine Kvenberg, host of the acclaimed Become podcast and best-selling author. She is a distinguished Fredericksburg Entrepreneur of the Year, dedicated to enhancing the communication and prowess of female entrepreneurs. A former actress and director in Europe, Sabine relocated to the U.S., pioneering a performing arts school that she helmed for over 27 years. Equipped with innovative tools and strategies, Sabine helps entrepreneurs, CEOs, and others master their presentation skills and eradicate the public speaking jitters. Sabine is on a mission to empower 1 million entrepreneurs to become excellent communications experts so they can share their mission, message, and make a positive impact and improve the world by 2028. Big goals. How you doing,
Yep.
Sabine? Welcome to Transform Your Future.
Well, thank you, Eddie, for having me. I look forward to our conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So I've had the great privilege of having a relationship with you now for a little while and seeing you go through this part of your journey here, which has been awesome to be part of that. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is for you to just go ahead and nutshell exactly where you're at today and what you're doing.
Of course. Well, today I help entrepreneurs, CEOs, as you already said in your intro, to become better communicator, meaning when we can communicate our message and our service and our mission, also when I work
Yes.
with nonprofits, much better for people to understand, then they are more inclined to get into your universe, either as a supporter or as a new client. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that, we have to master the skill of storytelling and the skill of communication, meaning
Yeah.
speaking. I mean, there are
Yes.
many different ways that we communicate, right? But
Mm-hmm.
speaking obviously is one of the first one, and how you present it. So that's in a nutshell what I do currently.
Yes, yes, and of course, as you know, my whole life has been about sales and influence and mastering communication, both with my body, my tonality, and with my face, so that I could be congruent, right? And so I'm always intrigued about this, and I'm always looking for ways to better improve my communication to be able to communicate effectively, so that I can win and my clients can win in their lives every day.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
And we have to constantly uh, improve our skills, either learn new skills, or if you have those skills, improve your skills. To give you an
Yeah.
example, I my background is the entertainment industry. So I was a stage and TV actress in Germany for 10 years. And then I was also a director, directing shows around the world. And then I started my own performing arts school. Communication, performing, presentation, directing was always something that I did. I'm not afraid of speaking, but I also continuously improved my speaking skills,
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
me being from Germany. So that's my heritage. And I oftentimes visit my family. And let me share this with you. Last year,
Yes, please.
I went back to visit my family in Germany, and we went to this carnival. And my niece said, "Oh, Sabine, let's go onto this roller coaster." And I said, "Sure," because of course I wanted to be that cool aunt, right? So we went,
Yes,
but
yes.
I have to tell you, I really don't like roller coaster. They scare me.
Mm.
So we sat in there in the cart. Those bars came over your shoulders, and there was no turning back. And my stomach starting to revolt, and that feeling of fear you get in there. And before I knew it, we were
Yes.
off to the races, and we went up that steep hill. And then all those thoughts of, oh my gosh, what if we get stuck? What if we can get back down? What if we fall down? All those things that even propelled that scare came through my head. So finally, we
Mm.
reached the top, and the only thing I could do, Eddie, was just close my eyes and hope for the best. And
Mm.
there the ride began. And before I knew it, we were at the beginning again, right? And so, and then I thought to myself, wow, uh, I didn't even remember half of what happened, right? And then I thought, isn't it so true for most people in public speaking? Because public speaking is one of the greatest fears that people have. That's even
Yes.
before death, if you're thinking about it. See,
Yes.
if you look at that roller coaster journey and you compare it to your fear of speaking, you know that you have to do it. You want to look cool. You want to get new clients. You know you have to do it. And eventually you will. And then before you go up on stage or in front of the audience or in front of the camera, thoughts of, oh my gosh, what if I mess up? What if I get stuck? What if my voice cracks? All those negative thoughts that brings you even further down, like I did on my roller coaster ride, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, and then you finally get on stage, you're on the top there, and you do your presentation, and you finish. But half of the things you don't even remember. And then thoughts like, oh, did I say the right things? Did I ask the right questions? Did I did the call to action? And how did I do? So, and that's where I step in. I
Hmm.
know where I'm coming from, and I really can compare that, even though I didn't have that fear. But what
Hmm.
you got to do is constantly improve your skills. And that's what I did. Being a German, getting onto the speaking circus here, since English is not my first language, there was that
Mm.
little fear too, right? I said, what if I mess up? What if I don't say the right words? And so I joined Toastmasters International because I wanted to hone in my speaking skills. And I'm so glad that I did. I learned so much. I became a DTM, a distinguished Toastmaster. You had to do your speaking
Hmm.
manuals and leadership manuals. And yeah, and that journey continues. I am a lifelong learner because learners are
Yes.
earners.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. And it's so interesting because sometimes, I mean, I guess when I was younger, and I really started this first major reinvention in my life to become something else, to break away from my past and the patterns that were in there before. I remember that a major issue was having to overcome fear. Like I knew that I had to be in charge. I needed to manage that so that it wouldn't overwhelm me, because I would have racing fear about many things, just like when you talk about getting on the roller coaster. So yeah, that's real. Those are real feelings that we have to be able to master if we want to, change, if we want to grow, if we want to be a learner who is earning, right? We need to overcome those things. So that's pretty cool. Also, I was just thinking about when you were talking, how you made a goal, you set that goal, and then you just started taking action. You weren't perfect, you didn't do it perfectly. You just started moving and taking action, and from that action you learned and you grew, and you learned and you grew, and you excelled, right? So that's the pattern that we live in, right? And that's what
Hmm.
makes the positive outcomes for us. It's through that cycle of just moving.
Yes, that's a very, very important part.
Yeah.
Moving, when you have that feeling that this is right, that's what you want to do. And to give you an example, when I was a young adult, I didn't pursue my passion. I didn't do my dream job. I didn't know back then. So I listened to the well meant advice of my dad, who said, Sabine, find a job with benefits and a good salary so
Mhm.
you can pay your bills and have something left over to pursue your hobbies. And by that, he meant my
Yes.
singing and my acting. So
Yes,
I,
yes, yes.
so I did. But one day I found myself, I ended up working for an insurance company as a claim adjuster. So that was definitely not my passion. So, and one day I found myself staring out of the window, and I'll never forget that. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot do this for the next 40 years. What
Mm.
is mine to do? What should I do? Ask and ye shall receive, right? that
Yes,
same
yes.
that same week I had a quote unquote chance meeting with my former drama and music teacher. So when I came down out of the subway, went down the street to my home, there he was, and we started a conversation. And then he leaned forward and he asked me a question. He asked, hey Sabine, are you still active with your singing group, with your acting group? And I said no. And then he said one thing that literally changed my life, Eddie. Do you know what it was that he said?
No, no, I want to know. Yes.
Something very simple. He
Mm-hmm.
said, what a shame, Sabine. You are so
Mm.
talented.
Mm-hmm.
Bam! That woke me
Mm-hmm.
up. And I thought,
Yes.
yes, he is right. He reminded me of my talent, of the gift
Yes.
that's been given to you from your creator and to me. And that made the decision for me to say, okay, I have to do it. And I had no idea. I had absolutely
Mm.
no idea how to start because no one in my family was in the entertainment industry. But I took action. And so I went home, I opened up the yellow pages. During that time, of course, it dates me a little bit. We had to do the we had to do the hard way. But
Yes.
nevertheless, I looked for acting schools. I called for an audition. I prepared. I had no idea how to prepare. I picked up like a little booklet that we read in school in German class, right? And it was a play. So I picked the biggest paragraph that I had to memorize, which by the way was a male role. That I guess it was so hilarious that I was accepted, and the rest is history.
Mm. So I think that's great. I think that's great, and I have had several major reinventions in my life, where I did 180 degrees in some other direction, than where I was going and what I was doing. So I totally identify, what you're saying. And I love to talk about identity and reinvention, and how we can find the power within ourselves that lies within ourselves, that everybody has inside themselves, that has been God given, and use that to pursue whatever our futures are, and make those changes necessary to find the purpose of my life and what I'm doing, to figure out where I fit in and what my talents are. So, I really identify with that. And I'm just curious. So, um, that was a major shift, right? That was a major shift. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking how the voice of Papa saying, get a job with security and retirement, do that for 20, 30 years, then retire, and, then play with your hobbies and whatever, which is like commonsensical thinking that
Mhm.
people have. So how did you deal with the friction, let's say, or the, the tension between going after something that is not going to be stable necessarily, right? But it was something that you had a talent of, against doing something that is going to give you security for the next 20 years or whatever.
Mhm. So it is really different for everybody. But one of the things that I always knew and I always followed was my gut feeling. And when you have that and also take time to listen to that voice within you
Mm-hmm.
and listen to this and notice the signs. The signs in my case was I was unhappy. I gained
Mm-hmm.
weight. I was feeling there. And then I was just asking a question. And I invite
Mm-hmm.
everybody, just ask the question, even if you don't know yet. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a field out there, the universe, whatever you want to call it, but it's real. It's scientifically proven now. I didn't know it back then, but obviously now I teach this stuff, and I, from my experience and all the other things that I've learned along the way,
Mm-hmm.
there is just what I call that higher power. And
Yes.
the higher power gives you signs. In this case was that sign, I felt unhappy. And
Mm-hmm.
the next was that teacher. There's always something that comes into your life that gives you those little hints, those nudges. And I tell you, if I wouldn't have acted upon that, there would be another sign. And if I would not
Mm-hmm.
acted upon that, there would be another sign. There will always something that will come to you into your life. Now, here's the thing. You may get unhappier. You may get even sick. You may have a dis-ease, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the word
Mm.
comes from.
Yes.
And those
Yes.
oftentimes people have to get really, really sick or have that disease to shift something. But you don't have to
Yes.
wait for that. Be more conscious of the thoughts that are coming into your head and have the stillness just to sometimes sit down or go for a walk and ask the question, what is the next step for me? Ask God, ask the universe, whatever you believe in. What is next? What is mine to do? And the answers will come, and sometimes in a very unexpected way. That would be my biggest recommendation. But on top of that, I also wanted to let you know, even when you make that decision, how I made it, at that time, I was in a relationship, and and then my fiance at that time said, "Oh, Sabina, don't do it." Parents, everybody
Mm-hmm.
who meant well,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
said that is an unstable profession, and the scandals, and you never make money, and all those things. And I said, you know, I almost was persuaded of those dream stealers.
Yeah.
But I eventually said, look, if I don't give it a try, at least give it a try, I'll never know if it was right for me or not. So I did. I said, okay, I'm going to start this half education that they offered. I give it a try. 2 weeks in that program, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I said, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go full in. And guess what, Eddie? After 2 years of being a stage actress, I landed a role on TV, and we only filmed for 6 weeks over the summer. But during that time, I made more money than I did the entire year working as a claim adjuster. You see, when you love what you do what you love, and learn the skills, the money will follow. There's no doubt in my mind.
And you have to go all in, like you said. You've got to go all in, right? You can't do it just one foot in and one foot out. You gotta find a way to go all in, and that's a challenge. That's a challenge at times for many of us. I know it's
Right.
been a challenge for me, but certainly I have seen the benefits of what I do and the outcomes, the positive outcomes, like you say. And it's interesting. I know that I've actually never talked to you about this one area, but my first major reinvention was to follow my dreams. And it started with some very simple questions that some people ask me, just like you. And the beautiful thing is, what I like to tell people is, if you don't talk about things and you don't have people that you can trust and depend on what they say and talk about things, then you never get those questions asked to you. You don't have people's perspective on things, and that's what we really need, right? We need each other so we can get some different perspectives to help us better understand ourselves. Like, we don't live in a vacuum. So, and something like a simple question like has to do with, are you happy actually in what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you feel fulfilled? Is this what you
Mm-hmm.
really want to do? Because I know you have some talent, you have some skill. What are you going to do with that? So those are simple questions, right? Really, that
Mm-hmm.
really help to guide us to figure out those things. And
Right.
uh,
And
and so
that's,
and so I too went into the film industry. I mean, I had worked as a camera operator and editor on many other people's projects, and I just had this desire. I want to do it myself. I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to be the authority. I wanted to do my spin on things, and so I went and pursued that. And I ended up working with many of my heroes in celebrities and whatnot. It was just a fantastic experience. And one too that everybody looked at me and thought, what are you doing? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. You know. So I was
yeah.
listening to somebody earlier today. He was talking about how he had given himself 90 days to make a certain amount of money in his sales career, and it wasn't until the last 10 days of the 90 days that he actually made any money at all, but he hit his goal. It was like for 80 days, nothing, 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 and then 90 on the 80th day something started happening.
Right, right.
So
And that's a good point. And oftentimes I see this over and over again. People give up just before they reach their goal because they think, "Ah,
yes.
it's never going to happen." And that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite quotes. Um, Winners never quit, and quitters never win.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that you have to sometimes or oftentimes have to shift the way you do it, right? I'm not saying do the thing over and over again that doesn't work and expect different results. That would be insanity, right? Like
Right.
good old Einstein said. But what
Right.
I'm saying is never give up on your dreams if you
Hmm.
want to achieve something. And the goal setting process is so important. And I saw that when I had my school, again, was reinventing the shifting, going from
Yes. Yes.
being on stage and on camera to become a business owner and help new talent get their start in the entertainment industry. But there's one thing that I noticed. Why do some succeed and some don't? They're equally talented. And what I realized was their mindset, their
Hmm.
attitude, how they
Hmm.
pursue the business. And so I thought, well, I have to do something. So I started writing a workbook, and that then turned into a book, Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz. And the very first part, before I even went into, okay, what are the processes, the school, the headshots, and all the business related stuff, I really
Hmm.
went into mindset, attitude. And one of the
Hmm.
questions that I asked there, What do you think is your biggest asset? And I'm asking you, Eddie, what do you think the actors, the models told me what their biggest asset was?
Their talent, their skill, their perseverance.
Very much so. Their talent, they said, oh, my looks as my biggest asset as a model, or my voice as a singer or as an actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, it's not. It's part of it, but your biggest asset is your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of blew them away. And I put this in the book, and then I did the goal setting and making a plan, being really strategic about it. And I think that is my superpower. If somebody would ask me, what is your superpower? Because there are a lot of coaches out there, there are a lot of, online mindset coaches or speaking coaches or whatnot. I think the superpower comes from combining all the different things that I learned throughout my career that I can help my clients to get where they need to go faster.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what happened. And from that point on, there's several reinvention, right? And you talked about how do you deal with reinvention because you are in that stage. So one of the things I started speaking. People wanted to know more. They wanted to have something. So then I started writing another book, Unlock Your Full Potential. That it's 10 easy steps everybody can do with act. I'm very action oriented. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
fluff.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Maybe
yes,
that's the
yes.
German in me. I don't know, but I'm very action oriented. Said, okay, that's step number one. Don't start with step number 10 and then do the right action. Step number two, do the right action. Step number three, right? So, and if anybody wants to get the resources, just go to sabinekvenberg.com/resources. You can get those, unlock your full potential. But from that point on, I knew the school is coming to an end. I know I've done that. I helped many start their career, many successful, very successful in life now. And I knew there was another path for me, another purpose, another way to serve others. And that was my
Mm-hmm.
next reinvention. And when, again, it comes back to that gut feeling, feel it, and then take action, and then learn along the way. What new skills do I need? And that is really the best thing in life is the journey, is not your destination, is not that next thing. Yeah, you have that in the distance, but you are here in the moment. You have to stay in the moment to do the things that are necessary in the moment to get you eventually where you need to go. So
Yeah,
that is the
yeah.
biggest advice I can give.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were talking, I was just thinking about how when I was very young, my first foray into all this, when I did that first major reinvention for myself and became a film director and a producer, and became known, and people were attracted to me. How that whole process was about me being able to call my own shots. I wanted to be able to take control and charge of my own life and the directions that I was going into. I mean, I can't control life. I can't control what other people do. But as you mentioned, the most important thing that I learned how to control was this. Because if you
Mhm.
can be a master of this, you can do anything that you want. And so that that fire in me of wanting to be able to take my own shots and find my own way, good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent, that was what has always been driving all of these reinventions and everything that I do. And so I feel like you were kindred spirits in that way. We wanted to take charge and do things and have an impact in life. And so we just kept doing that and making it better and better and better and better, right, as we grew.
That's
Um,
right.
One time, and I was listening about the thing that we might call, some people might call intuition, that gut feeling, that's some kind of intuition, right? To be able to be in touch with that voice inside of you, to find that intuition inside of you, to be aware of it, to listen to it, to know what's going on, and how sometimes it's, as you mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily that you have to wait until you're dead on the side of the road before you do something, right?
Right.
Just having some initial pangs and feelings of, this is not really what I like, or this doesn't really feel like what I want it to feel with, or these things over here that I'm doing, I don't really like doing those things. These things over here I really like. So let me do more of what I like and less of these things I don't like, right? So
Hmm.
as we go through those processes, though, sometimes they're big challenges for us personally along the way. At least for me, there has been, like
Hmm.
changing a relationship and saying, okay, this relationship doesn't serve me, and now I need to do something that, like, that's a major that's a major challenge, and there's all kinds of feelings and issues that you have to go through for that when you're making some of these changes. So, and then I feel like when you keep putting one foot in front of the other and you keep doing it, when you get on the other side, you feel like, oh, thank you. Thank you, the universe. We're on the same page. So
Hmm.
it's quite an inspirational feeling to be
Yeah.
able to do that.
And when you go through these times, you grow, you
Yes.
learn. And that is one of the things I urge everybody: be grateful for those challenges, even
Mm-hmm.
though it might be painful. But when you give gratitude to those moments and always look at it like, what can I learn from it? Why
Mm.
did this happen? Right?
Yes.
Not why me, why me? No, but what is it that I need to learn from that? Where does it
Yes.
lead me? And believe me, my life was not always, uh, you know, peachy creamy.
Yeah.
No, there were a lot of challenges in the business world, in the financial world. And, as entrepreneurs, we take risks, and sometimes we go full in and it was not the right
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it can be very painful. But how you get through it is with the right attitude. And when you have the right attitude, oh my gosh, you it doesn't matter. You will get through it, and you will have the next stretch in your life that is even better.
Yes. Yes. You have
And
to
it's
have that
important.
attitude of being unshakable. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm totally 100% committed, no matter what challenges come my way. Whatever the universe hands me, I'm going to keep doing it and keep going no matter what.
Yeah. And I tell you that the universe handed me a few challenging things. I mean, from even moving to the United States, that was a big
Oh,
challenging thing.
major, major,
Major.
major.
And all that happened after losing my mom. She was very young, 59, um,
Wow.
unexpectedly, and it was a shock for me. A few weeks later, I got another shock, a diagnosis from my doctor, say, well, you have a tumor. We have to operate. You probably never can have children.
Mm.
That was a major
Yeah.
shock. My husband was in Africa at that time directing a show, and all of that came together. And I said, okay, this is it. I'm leaving now, so we can go to the States where he is from. Let's go start a business. I mean, all of that way, like in a couple of months. Really, that was the decision, from July to January, and then we moved to the States. So yeah, and you can get through it. And if this wouldn't have happened, I may have not had made the decision to move, because I was very connected to my family and to my mother. But it was almost, for me, I almost like an escape, if you will. But that opened up so many new doors, and that business and everything else.
Mm. I was thinking, it's so true that it is through the challenges and through these major challenges that we end up in. Like it's always darkest right before the dawn. Like when you feel like, oh my God, I can't go on. This is it. Oh, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to me.
Yeah,
You just you keep pushing, and then you get on the other side, and it like that's when the breakthrough happens. When you feel like
yeah,
you can't go on, and this is it. It's the end of the world. Like very soon, that's when the breakthrough you push through, and you're like, oh my God, I just pushed through that. Holy Jesus,
yeah.
let's go. Right.
And we have to be reminded of it. I mean, even for myself, everybody in the whole world, no matter what kind of coach you are, what kind of enlightened person you are, as just being human, having this human experience, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
we sometimes still have those limiting beliefs or
Mm-hmm.
imposter syndrome or whatnot. And I just want to give everybody the what shall I say, that a confirmation you are not alone. We all have those. You know, Eddie, I recently released a new book. It's
Mm-hmm.
called
Yeah. Yeah.
Become Empowered. And these are real life stories of women's transformation and triumph. And all of that got started from my podcast, Become, where people share those challenging situations and those
Mm-hmm.
breakthroughs. And this is a reminder that we are not alone. And when I read those stories and, said, wow, we can always, and all of these women were grateful for their experiences because that led them to becoming their next greater self, to start that new business, to start that new relationship, to find love, etc., etc. So, when we understand that, life gets much easier.
Mm-hmm. I know that I love the way that you approach the book. I love how you approach the podcast. I love how you approach the other people. I at the end of the day, I am always interested in spiritual growth and growing spiritually and growing my spirituality. I've read hundreds of books, been involved in many different, groups to learn more and be more and really tap into that. And I have my meditation practices and things that I do. But I think like at the end, like part of that is to be able to understand that it's not me. I'm not alone. There's a world out there. I need to interact with the world. And the true power is in interacting with others and bringing people together. That's the true power. Anybody who's
Hmm.
really successful has the ability to bring people together and be able to, work as a team to do things. So, I think the whole way that you approach that is like perfect. It's really just perfect. So you start the podcast and it's about becoming, it's about changing, it's about having that confidence, right, and becoming a unstoppable force. And these individual people share their individual challenges and stories of how they overcame and how they built that, and that became a great book, right, with multiple stories in it. So I think it's great. And you must have had some great relationships that came out of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Community and how we communicate with others and ourselves, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
is the cornerstone of your success. It doesn't matter if it's in business or your personal life. That is the cornerstone. The better we can communicate. And the friendships that developed through that process, it's amazing. Some of the ladies I knew beforehand, but I never knew their story. It
Mm.
was just a like loose relationship, but now it became very very deep. And with some, it's amazing. We meet this week actually. In 2 days I am flying to Washington State to meet with a couple of my co-authors. Laura Marquist, who shares her story. I actually met her through a mastermind that we did together, and then I continued with offering a mastermind, and we stayed connected. And another co-author from who lives in Vancouver was right in Canada, just a couple hours away. So she's coming and visit, and we are connected in so many different levels. And now through that connection, you network, you have this expanded network that who knows what comes out of it. That for me is the most exciting part.
It's great. It's great. So how I'm just curious. So the latest things that you're doing, um, how did you go from where you were to where you're at now? How did you go from writing this book and starting this podcast? What were some of the things that got you doing that? What are the things that motivated you? What was the voice telling you?
Okay. That's a good question. And the voice is still speaking to me in this very moment, because I know my skills that I learned are presentation skills, directing. I teach people how to speak like a pro, how to present their story, their product, their service when they get on stage. And I'm passionate about it and I love it, But there is also the other side that I always put into my businesses, even though at the beginning I didn't do it consciously, but there was always that subconscious level, and that's the spirituality. One of the stories that I share in the book was how, when we had the studio, how a church was looking for a space, and how they saw our studio and they felt that feeling of light in there. So we ended up, I ended up renting it out to them. And then, of course, they invited me, and and we went to see the service. It was just like a match made in heaven. I think that's an impression. And so, long story short, I don't tell the whole story. Just get the book, Become Empowered. It's on Amazon.
Yes. I'll drop the link.
Good. But out of that relationship, I became the music minister and started writing music for the service, because I know that music brings another level of understanding, because it touches your heartstring. And so I started writing this music, and I sang it at church and in a couple speaking engagements that I had, right? So I always bring my talks and my songs together so that the message comes across even more powerful. So that was when I brought that in. But fast forward where I am now, because that was your question. Just a couple years ago, I was meeting with a colleague and we were talking, and that was just before I started my podcast, Become. And we talked about the spirituality. So I shared with her, oh yeah, that's right. I brought that in through my music and I'm very passionate about it. And then I sang her that song, or she listened, I played it on the CD or something. And her eyes got this big. And she said, oh my God, Sabine, you need to share this. And again, that moment when you thought, yeah, maybe I should. And that's when I started getting more into this realm of that becoming. And a couple days later is when I woke up. And that that word become came into my mind, talking about intuition. And that was like in the middle of the night. I always, when I wake up, or early morning, like between 3 and 4, right? That's usually when spirit is talking to me. So I got
Mm-hmm.
up and wrote things down. And that's when the idea of the podcast become came about.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, I had more people that I interviewed. I am on podcasts, and that's how the book started. And even through this book, all the spirituality that shines through, and the impact that I made, I did not expect it, by the way, when I started the book project. But I realized, oh my gosh, I touched so many people's lives because them telling their story was a healing process for them as well. I said, oh my God, I had so many people that came and they were in tears saying, thank you for letting me do this. That was healing for me. I mean, what else more can you ask for, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel very again kindred spirit, really. That my the value that I bring, part of the value I bring is the fact that I have experienced so many different things and I share those experiences. And through the sharing of those experiences, if one person is touched by that and is then going to take action in their lives to do something, I feel like I'm successful.
Absolutely.
If just one person hears something I said that gets them to think in a certain way, to make some changes in their lives from a simple question, I feel like I'm a successful human being.
And your listeners need to really hear that and understand that. Uh, because oftentimes we think, oh my God, I have to be a Tony Robbins in order to be successful, or I have to
Correct.
be whoever you want to put in there, uh, uh, who already has millions of followers. But that's not true. Success is measured in a much deeper way. And what you said, if we can touch one person, and it doesn't matter if it's through a podcast, through a book, through a speaking engagement, through anything that you do,
Through meeting
sometimes it
somebody at a
can
coffee shop.
exactly something so
Mm-hmm.
simple
Mm-hmm.
that can make a difference in somebody's lives. And if this is the only thing, you're already successful. But when we live on this planet for years and years and years, I can promise everyone who is listening right now, you have made a much greater impact than you think you did. Some of the
Yes.
things was never told to you. The things that are being told to us, like, oh, thank you, you made a difference. Yes, we are aware, but there are thousands of others incidences that nobody gave us the feedback but made a difference to them. So we just being here on this planet, doing what you do,
Mm-hmm.
give the goodness of your heart and speak the truth, you cannot be anything less than successful.
Yes, and there's a lot of words that are popular today that weren't popular before, but have similar meanings to things from the past. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
not just like this idea of authenticity. That's not like a brand new idea. It's just a new
No.
name that they call it, right? But the thing is if
Yes.
you're authentically yourself, if you're yourself and you be yourself, then you can't lose. You can't lose. And the things that stop people all the time is they think they have to be somebody else in order
Mm-hmm.
to do something and to accomplish something, and they compare themselves to other people instead of identifying that's a person who went through challenges and became something. They compare, he has this, she has that, she did this, I didn't do that. And really it's like a trap. It's a serious trap. And finally, through all of that, what I find that's very similar in most people is they beat themselves up. They beat the shit out of
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and they're so hard on themselves. And the thing is that's not. I don't believe that's what the force for good in the universe wants me to do. I don't think the force for good in the universe wants me to beat myself up. So
Right,
so I
right.
don't do it. I don't do it. And you mentioned that word before, um, I just want to say is like there's one thing that I decided a long time ago that I am not going to believe in, and I am not going to believe in something called imposter syndrome. I'm not believing in that. That there's no such thing as that. I don't know who made it up,
Exactly.
but
I
there's no
know.
such thing as that. And I think that the more people talk about it, because there's a lot of that talk in people marketing on the internet talking about that, and I feel like they cause the problem. They're not solving anything. They're not helping anything. They're actually precipitating the problem from existing is because they keep talking about it. I find that
Yeah.
like that's the way life is at times, right? Sabine, the more you talk about a problem, the more you're in the problem. You have to talk about solutions, 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 not problems.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That really hits a hot spot because that's what we hear in the news. Always the problems, the problems, the problems. His fault, her fault, no, his fault, her fault. Team, blue team. So stop it. But like with everything, it's power struggle, it's money that fuels that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
I
fear.
remember, yeah, of course. And that's the thing. If you can instill fear in people, and that's what I'm seeing right now, and even in my closest circle of friends, right? They are being so bombarded with those fear-mongering messages. Oh my gosh, and if you it's like, oh my gosh, it's in the war, and make sure you have your weapons, and there's another civil war coming, and I'm not saying that we do have challenges, by all means not, but I choose not to focus on those things. And I just want to remind everybody on one wise woman who had nothing regarding monetary status or luxury
Mm-hmm.
status. Mother Teresa.
I knew it. I knew it.
So she, at one point, were asked, would you support us, with a march or whatnot against war? And she said, absolutely not. But if you ask me to come and walk with you for freedom, I will be right there.
Mm-hmm.
See, that is
Yes.
the difference. That is the difference.
That's the mind shift. That's the mind shift right there. Absolutely. And you need those. You need those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we
So
have talked a lot, Sabine, and I love you, and we could talk forever. So I
I
want to
know
just hone this back for a second. So your podcast, Become Empowered, we can find that on all the networks, right?
it's the podcast called Become. It's a
Become.
blue butterfly, very simple, Become on all networks.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And your book, I'm going to drop into the chat. Please tell me the title of the book again.
It's called Become Empowered
Hmm.
Echoes of Grace and Strength. And it's on Amazon, but it's on all major bookstores. You can get it anywhere. And if you want to have my autograph, you can just contact me and I'll send you, even if you buy that on Amazon or wherever, I want to get it personally autographed. I send you a book plate with my autograph and a personal note so that you can then put into a tease to the book. There's a special page right there,
Mm,
and I'm happy to do this. And that's how I connect with everybody. I'm very personal, and that's what I love to do.
that's great. That's great. Yes.
Hmm.
So, is there anything I haven't talked to you about that I didn't ask you about that you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I am actually I have a program called Become Empowered, and it's basically for everybody who wants to become part of that community. Gets weekly coaching. I hop into that. It's a membership, and you can stay as long as you want. You can cancel at any time, but it helps you to be with like-minded people. I share all the wisdom that I've learned throughout my life. Become empowered in your life, in your mindset, in relationships, but also if you have a business, if you want to start a business, restart a business, or scale, grow your business. I
Hmm.
mean, this is a place to become empowered, to do it the right way. And if they want to know more about it, they can just again go to my resource page, and you can put it there. Or if you just want to
Hmm.
talk to me, if you want to schedule a time on my calendar, either want to talk about this program or about the book, or maybe you want to become a speaker or become a guest on my podcast, just go to my calendar and book a time. Go to Sabine, excuse me, talk to Sabine.com. Very simple. Talk to Sabine.com.
Yes, yes. Another very good idea. Another very good idea. I love that domain name.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and I know you're somebody who's been committed to just like me, committed to change, committed in community. And those are some things that really has helped us grow and succeed at a high level was being part of these communities, joining these masterminds, taking these trainings and courses and practicing. I know that, you practice, if you're going to give a speech, I know you practice it a lot
Yeah.
before you actually just give it, right? Because
Yeah.
you're going to go all in and you're going to do everything you can, right? Most people, unfortunately, have the ideas of where they want to go, but they're not willing to do the effort that it takes to really be there, right? If you're going to be in sales, I want you to really be in sales. I want you to really know everything about sales. I want you to read all the sales books. I want you to practice sales all the time. I want you to practice your pitch. I want you, role play with other people to see how you can improve, right? It's about constant improvement and constant learning, because everything that's green grows, right? When you ain't growing anymore, you die. Right? There's only two
Hmm.
states: either we're growing or we're dying. One or the other. You can't be in the
Hmm.
middle. So your great commitment to that is how you've gotten the great results in your life, right? So, offering community and offering courses and offering trainings and masterminds, this is where it's at. This is how change actually happens, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm in recovery. I've been, clean now for 36 years. And if it wasn't for the community that I was introduced to and those people who were doing it, I don't think I would have believed that it could be possible, right? It's through other people that we start to find out what's really possible and what we have inside of us, the power that we can tap into, to change and to grow. It's only through seeing other people grow and change that we start to think, shit, if he could do it, I could do it too, right? I'm not
Yes.
different than him. And so
Right.
these are all very important things in order to make changes in your life. And you have to be willing and committed to invest in yourself, invest the time, invest the money, and do these things because you are becoming, right? You are
Right.
becoming, and that's part
Yes.
of the becoming process. So I think it's great.
And talking about that, uh, over my lifetime, I have. I mean, it's like a college master's degree investment, even though I
PhD.
PhD, exactly. What I invested into programs and coaches. So I never went to the university in Germany. And not to say, hey, if I want to become a doctor, I better go to the university
You
to
need that piece
do
of
this.
paper.
Yes, yes. And I don't want to have a doctor operating on me said, "Oh yeah, I took a course." No, you can't do that. However, with that said, there are certain things that you better learn from the experts who have had the experiences versus a professor like in business, for example, right? What they teach now, most of them just learned it from books, and especially in the business world, it's so fast changing. But I definitely invested a lot into it. But here's one thing: I do have my private coaching for somebody who wants to go where they want to go faster. I do the one-on-one. But I also know many people who are starting out, they have to be mindful with their finances, where they put things. And and I know because I started out that way too. So I can direct them, and I wanted to give back to this community because I know I have been an entrepreneur, and I know when I first started out, I had some mentors that gave me some tips. So now that I'm on the back end of that, I wanted to give that back. And that's why I made this commitment. I want to help entrepreneurs to be successful. And that means communicating right. That means knowing what to do, what are the steps, and being in that community. And that's why I had that Become Empowered community, so people can be there and learn with very little investment, but the return of the investment can be huge for them. So that is me giving back to them. So I just urge everybody, and you may have heard it before, your success is directly related to the 5 major people that are surround you, right? You have to surround yourself with the right people. And if you don't have that yet, you may start out and family has nothing to do with business, but find that community and becoming part of the Become Empowered community. You have access to those people because they are like-minded like you. And then, of course, you have access to me who already have that success and can help you along the way.
Yes. Yes. Very good. So, Sabine, in closing, I want to thank you for coming on and spend your time with me. And I think probably we should do this again soon in the future, because I actually want to talk and kind of deconstruct your whole process with the book and how you launched the book as well. But we've talked so much about so many important things right now and about your journey and my journey. And so for now, I'll say ta-ta for now, and we'll get back together soon.
Thank you so much, Eddie. This was a wonderful conversation, and I know your clients will get so much from your experience as well. So thank you for having me. And yes, we are on. We're going to have another conversation.
All right. For more information and monthly topics of interest, please go to transformyourfuture.com and join our newsletter.